So it's December last year, and I'm sitting on my couch scrolling on my phone, and I see something really disturbing. I'm looking at my Spotify Wrapped for the year, and I realized that over the year 2022, I've listened to 1,000 hours of music. And I'm in shock. I did the calculations. That's about 3 hours of music per day. So I made it my mission. I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm gonna stop listening to music for at least a month or two and see how it changes my life. So I deleted my Spotify Premium and I went about 2 months without listening to music at all. Like when I was in the gym, I listened to like audiobooks, like podcasts. When I went for a walk, I just walked and like listened to the environment. I didn't listen to music at all, basically, for 2 months. And I had a bunch of insights and realizations about how music was destroying many parts of my life. Now, I'm not saying music is like the devil and it's gonna like ruin your life or something. But the majority of people are listening to way too much music, bro, including me, 1,000 hours a year. That's probably average, to be honest. Like most people listen to music all the time. Like they can't even shower without listening to music. That's most people. You know, we all think music is this beautiful thing that's enhancing our lives and making our lives amazing and does no harm, right? But that's completely wrong. Because we live in this age where it's so easy to just listen to music. You just open up your Spotify and instantly in the background you've got music playing. But for most of human history, before the record player was invented in like the 60s, no one really listened to music that much. Like you couldn't listen to music in your home unless you were like rich. Like maybe rich people had a band like to come to their house or something. But we all feel like we can't live without music, bro. Like, oh bro, I can't live without music. What the hell? Like, bro, if you were alive 100 years ago, you would have been dead then if you couldn't live without music. Because like when people were studying, they couldn't listen to music. Like unless you somehow like rented a band to come with you to the library. So you're like studying and there's like a live band playing next to you. Or you like go to the gym and you bring a live band with you. Unless you did that, you could not listen to music. So if you think you need music to live, if music is essential to your life, you're wrong, it's an illusion. So the first thing, this is one of the bigger ones, it affects your ability to focus. So if you go to any university library and you look around you, the majority of students listen to music while they study. And in theory, it seems good, right? Like, oh, it motivates me to study. It keeps me focused on my work, right? But actually it doesn't. Multitasking does not exist. There's no such thing as multitasking. We cannot focus on two activities at the same time. So when we're working and studying and listening to music at the same time, actually what's happening is our attention is just switching back and forth between them really fast. So for a few seconds we're focused on our work, then a few seconds we're focused on the music. So actually multitasking is not real. So actually when you listen to music while you study or you work, you are destroying your focus and your output by honestly about 5 times. But also every time you switch away from your work, you destroy a little bit of that momentum that you have. So you're typing and you're getting into the flow, getting into the momentum. You know, your ideas are flowing out, or you're studying and your learning is flowing out. And then you break that focus. You're like crashing a little bit of that momentum. So it's not that your focus is cut in half. It's destroyed by about 5 times. You need to stop listening to music while you're focusing, while you're doing full focused work. Now, if you're doing shallow work, checking your emails or doing stuff that's kind of mindless and doesn't require full focus, then fair enough. You know, listening to music won't affect you that much. But I'm talking about like studying, working, full focus activities, deep work. You need to be focused 100%. And you need to get used to doing that. So bro, maybe you've experienced this. You're talking to someone and they've got like an earbud in, right? Or you're talking to someone and they're listening to music in the background. And you're like talking and it feels like they're not really listening. They're like half listening to you, half looking at you, but they're half like dancing along to the music or half like, you know, wording the music in their mouth. And how do you feel? You feel kind of like they're not paying attention to you, right? Like their mind is somewhere else. They're not present. And so if people feel the exact same when they're talking to you. So for me, it's simple. I just don't listen to music when I'm in a social situation. I give people my full attention and my full presence. But I know high schoolers are really guilty of this. Like, they'll walk in all day with like their earbuds in, right? If you're a high schooler, please let me know if this is true. But it's like they're in another world, they're not present. But here's the thing, music doesn't just affect your focus while you're focusing. It affects your focus after you listen to music. Like I realized when I was listening to a lot of music throughout my day, I couldn't talk to people, I couldn't focus, I couldn't go to sleep without like a song playing in my mind. I don't know if you relate to this, but maybe try to look out for it next time. Like I'd be trying to sleep, I'd be trying to talk to someone, and a song would just be playing in my mind. I think it's called an earworm, so I think it is a real thing. But like, it affects your ability to focus even when you're not listening to it. It's implanting thoughts into your mind. And on that, the lyrics are also being implanted into your mind. So it's actually implanting beliefs into your mind. Like, let me give you an example. Like, I used to listen to like a lot of rap music, right? And they talk a lot about like drugs and like how drugs are cool and how you should do drugs, right? Then I started to realize that I found doing drugs to be normal, to actually be cool. I was like, yeah, bro, I want to drink some lean right now. I want to like smoke some weed. But like, that's not normal. Like, I'm not saying like drugs are so bad and you should never do them. But the music was implanting beliefs into my mind that they were normal, that they were cool. And the thing is, you're not consciously aware of this. Like, you might think like, oh yeah, bro, like, it's not affecting my beliefs. Like, I'm immune to it. I can think for myself. But you don't realize it's happening. It's happening like in the background, in your unconscious. So it's very important that you control your inputs, what you put into your mind. Like, you know how they say you're the average of the 5 people you spend your time around? It's because you unconsciously get influenced by your inputs. So music is just another input that you're putting into your mind and you're getting influenced by it without actually realizing. You can listen to music pretty much whenever you're doing anything. And this is a problem because we need these periods of no focus in our lives. For example, you know about the concept of shower thoughts, right? Like, people find that when they're in the shower, that's when they'll generate like ideas to add stuff to their life, generate ideas to add to their work, or like process their emotions and their thoughts, right? So these periods of no focus are essential for our lives. But if we're constantly layering music over our thoughts, then we never give our minds chances to generate these thoughts and like process them. Like, we're always doing something, we're always keeping our mind busy, so we're never letting our minds dive into our thoughts to improve our mental health and come up with ideas in our life. But you might think like, oh, but bro, music's improving my mental health. It's curing my depression, it's making me feel less lonely, it's making me feel happy. And maybe it does to an extent. But the thing is, it's an illusion. It's not actually fixing the underlying problem. It's just covering it. It's like you feel lonely, you feel sad, you feel bored, and you cover it with music. You're not actually solving, your mind is screaming to you. It's like, please, we're so lonely, we're so unfulfilled in our life. And you're like, blah, 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 blah. You know, you're covering your ears with music. You're not actually listening to your mind sending you that message that it needs you to listen to. But bro, the guys who need to listen to this most are like, they're covering their ears. They're like, oh no, bro, it fixes my loneliness. Like, I need music or I'm not happy. But it's the other way around. You're not happy because you're covering your unhappiness with music. You need to actually experience it fully to process it and to actually overcome it. So you're not actually fixing the core problem. You're just hiding yourself from it. But these days, we never have like a spare minute to even think. You know, we're in the shower, we listen to music. We're getting ready, we listen to music. We go for a walk, we listen to music. We're filling in like every spare moment of our days. So we're never giving our minds time to generate ideas and think and process our thoughts and emotions. So we feel bad all day, but we don't know why. It's because we don't dive into our minds to find out why. And now the next thing is it's destroying your motivation. So I learned this from scientist Andrew Huberman. Basically, the more you rely on external sources to hype you up and to motivate you, the less your inner motivation becomes. So for example, you probably use music to hype you up, right? Like, I used music to hype me up before I went to a social event, or to hype me up before I went to the gym, or hype me up in the gym, to get me motivated and to get me to do something, right? It would hype me up. The problem is the more you stack on that external motivation, the more it destroys your inner motivation. Basically how Andrew Huberman explains it, you're stacking a bunch of dopamine on top of each other. And so you have this huge dopamine spike and then a massive crash. So if you need so much hype, so much motivation to do something, it's affecting your motivation in the long run. Now the protocol he suggests is to just not do it every single time. Like hyping yourself up with music every now and then can be okay. It won't affect your motivation much in the long run. But if you're listening to music every time you lift, or every time you're going to go to the gym, or every time you're going to go talk to people, then you become more and more reliant on it, and your motivation gets less and less. So what he suggests is that we do what's called intermittent scheduling. So we only stack dopamine, stack music, stack external motivation from time to time. So maybe I'll listen to music 3/4 of the time in the gym, or to hype me up half the time. Not every single time. Because maybe you realize, like when I'm listening to a lot of music in my life, I can't just sit down, or I can't just go for a walk without needing to listen to something. I'll feel this pull, this like addiction where I want to be doing it. Like I can't take a walk without feeling bored, or I can't hype myself up to do something because I crave that external source. So I'm not saying never do it, but we got to stop seeing it as some different thing. It's exactly the same as doing any other distracting, stimulating activity. Just because we're not using our eyes doesn't make it any different. Our minds are still being occupied, which is the important thing. And our minds are still being like controlled and influenced. So I'm not saying like never listen to music again. Like I went 2 months without listening to music, but then I brought it back into my life. But I just like became a lot more intentional with how I use it. So I'm not going to tell you how you should do it, but decide your own protocols for how you're going to listen to it. And chances are you're listening to it way too much. So you might have to cut it honestly by like 90% or something. For me, I cut it by like 90%. So yeah, all I can say is just reflect and decide for yourself how you want to approach it. Subscribe if it resonated with you. Leave the video a like if you liked it, or comment if this makes no sense to you or you disagree. Yeah, bro, see you in the next one.